Everyone will tell you the same thing. Norway is beautiful, but it will drain your bank account. People often talk about 3,000 euros or even 4,000 euros for 1 week. But is that really the reality for a solo traveler who just wants to chase the northern lights? I spent 7 days above the Arctic Circle. Between Tromsø, Senja, and the Lyngen Alps, I tracked everything. Every gas refill, every coffee, every night of accommodation. Today, I'm breaking it all down. Lodging, transportation, food, and the real cost of a successful Northern Lights chase. And at the end, I'll give you the exact total, plus my method to cut the budget by 50%. 1. Accommodation. Let's start with the biggest expense, sleeping. In Tromso, prices explode during Northern Lights season. A basic hotel in the city center, expect to pay between 180 euros and 250 euros per night. Convenient, but expensive. My strategy? Move away from the center. By looking for cabins or small Airbnbs in more remote areas, I managed to bring the cost down to around 70 euros per night. In Tromsø, I stayed in a place called a hostel, but it was actually a house where the rooms had been converted into dorms located in the far south of the city. It's about a 30-minute walk to the city center, or you can take the bus, but the big advantage is that it's right next to Telegrafbukta Beach, one of the best spots in town to see the northern lights. Most tourists stay downtown during the day and come all the way here at night to try their luck with the auroras. For me, it was the opposite. I walked a bit more during the day, but at night when it gets really cold, I could be back home in just 5 minutes. Then I left the city to explore the Norwegian wilderness in the middle of winter. First stop, Senja Island, about a 3-hour drive away. There, I found a small cabin at a campground by a lake for around 70 euros per night. Sure, it meant staying away from the most popular areas, but it also allowed me to discover completely isolated places. The spot was absolutely stunning, and the biggest advantage? No light pollution. I could monitor the auroras right from my window or explore the fjords without paying 150 euros for a guided tour. Next stop, the Lyngen Alps, to experience yet another type of landscape. There, I found a hotel room for about 80 euros per night in Lyngen Trappa. The room had a lake view but was facing south, so no direct aurora view, but its location at the entrance of the peninsula made it a great base to explore both coasts of this mountain range. Two, transportation. This is where the budget really makes a difference. You have two options: buses and organized tours, or renting a car. I stayed my first 2 nights in Tromso to enjoy the city and chase the auroras on my own from the 3 main city spots. Then I went on a road trip by renting a car through Getaround, a peer-to-peer car rental platform. This saved me a lot of money. 280 euros for 4 days, insurance included. With a traditional rental agency, I would have paid at least twice that. The car was in great condition, very well equipped, and the check-in process was super simple. Everything is done through the app. No need to meet the owner, it took 5 minutes to upload a few photos. I spent about 120 euros on gas over 4 days, and the 30 euro car wash honestly surprised me. That one hurts a bit, but here's the math. A single Northern Lights tour cost between 150 euros and 200 euros per person. After just 3 nights, the car had already paid for itself, and most importantly, I had total freedom to drive wherever the sky was clear. 3. Food. Eating out in Tromso? That's a luxury. A basic burger and fries costs around 25 euros. A beer? 10 euros. Do that for lunch and dinner, and your budget explodes in 3 days. My method: I brought as much dry food as possible with me, mainly pasta, soups, and coffee. Not very balanced, but for 1 week it works just fine. Since supermarkets are also expensive, I only did groceries once, some bread, ingredients for sandwiches, and a few vegetables. That cost me about 40 euros. So bringing what you can in your luggage really makes a difference. And for fresh food, with these temperatures, the car trunk works perfectly as a fridge. I didn't try the 50 euro reindeer stew at a restaurant, but I did try Tromso's most popular hot dog with reindeer sausage for about 10 euros. 4. Activities and extras. A lot of people think you have to pay for everything. The Fjellheisen cable car, 45 euros round trip. I saved that money by hiking up with snowshoes. It's tough, but the view is free. Snowshoe hiking was actually my main daytime activity. It was my first time, and instead of renting a pair for 50 euros per day, I bought one for 280 euros before leaving and brought it back in my suitcase. In Tromso, apart from tours, there honestly aren't that many activities. The one I truly recommend is the Polar Museum. It's fascinating and dives deep into Arctic cultures and early polar explorations. On that note, I also recommend a book I loved, Scott and Amundsen, about the race to the South Pole. I've linked it in the description. One activity I would have loved to do is dog sledding, but be careful with overly touristy operators. Some advertise 4-hour tours, but you only spend 30 minutes on the sled. After researching, the few operators that seemed worth it were fully booked, so that'll be for next time. 5. Final verdict. So, what's the verdict? For 7 days solo in Smart Adventure mode, here's the total. Accommodation: 3 nights in Tromso at 70 euros, 2 nights in Senja at 70 euros, 2 nights in the Lyngen Alps at 80 euros. Total: 510 euros. Transportation: car rental, 280 euros. Gas, 120 euros. Car wash, 30 euros. Total, 430 euros. Food. Food brought from home, 40 euros. Groceries on site, 40 euros. Extras, coffee, snacks, etc. 50 euros. Total, 130 euros. Activities. Snowshoes, 280 euros, but this is a long-term investment I still use today. That brings the grand total to 1,350 euros. I didn't include the flight since it depends on your departure city and dates. For reference, I paid 260 euros flying from Frankfurt. So yes, far from the 3,000 euros often advertised by agencies. It's still a budget, of course, but for one of the most incredible experiences on Earth, it's absolutely worth it. And these are my expenses as a solo traveler. If you're traveling as a couple or a group, you'll save even more on accommodation, car rental, and gas. The key is autonomy. In upcoming videos, I'll share the best daytime activities in Tromso and my exact road trip itinerary. Let me know in the comments if that interests you, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. See you in the next one.